What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's still National Homebuyers Month, so we are going live the last time talking about it. And we're going to have a mortgage broker come on and talk today. So we got to kick off Homebuyer Month with a bash. So we're going to be talking about the state of the mortgage right now, how you still can get a mortgage with everything that's going on with the rates. Just to remind you of who I am, I'm Nia, certified financial education instructor and author of Budgets, Mindsets, and Money Moves. And welcome to the Money Mastery Academy. So, like I said, today we'll be meeting with a mortgage broker just to talk about what's going on, what you can do to get pre-approved. We got a few things that we want to talk about today and just let you know that home ownership is still possible, but just kind of prepare you and make you aware of what ways and what things you might need to do to make them a reality for you. So I'm going to bring the mortgage broker on and I'll let her kind of introduce herself and give a little bit of history about her and, what she do. So I'm going to bring her on. Hey,
Good
Arlene, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate this.
Yes, I appreciate your time. So just let them know what we're going to be talking about today. We have 4 main topics, and of course, we're always open ears to any tips, tricks, and things that you want to share. And I let you go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay. So as Nia says, I'm Arlene Price. I'm an actual mortgage broker. I am also a branch manager, been originating loans for more than 27 years. I specialize in first-time home buyers. We have grant programs, down payment programs. I educate people on their budget, their credit. I help them structure the deal, and I also advise them on the best way to build wealth for their family, generational wealth. So I'm excited about it, helping people buy property for a short-term and long-term rental to utilize for Airbnb, investment products, all of that. So yeah, got a lot to offer.
This is really important. If you're here, okay, so first tell them what states that you can originate loans in, and then I'll say what I have to say.
So we actually have about 13 or 14 states that we can originate loans in right now.
Uh-huh.
And I'm working on getting approved for other states as well. So just depending on where you want to buy. And then there are some products I have where we can actually originate in pretty much almost all the states, especially if you buy an investment product. So if you get in that part of the arena, then we can originate pretty much in any state that you want.
So let me explain why what she said is very important. If you notice, she said that she helps structure the deal and she helps that means that part on the back end, you might have a higher credit score, but you have more a lower credit score, but you have more saved, or just it's so many different factors in it. There is no cookie cutter solution to say, oh, well, this is what you have. It takes work on the back end to make these things happen and make it get through and make it get approved through closing. So you need someone like that will be working on your team and be there doing the work. And just sidebar, she's also someone, she holds a lot of home buying events. She's really a big advocate for educating the community and holding really nice events for people to come and just learn and get the knowledge and information that they need. So I feel like people like that are a valuable asset in the community. And it's also, you got to highlight it and let people know. So similar to the realtor that we had on Tuesday, I will be putting her Instagram, her email, and phone number in the notes. So I know a lot of you like to watch on the replay. And again, if you're watching this on the replay, make sure you type replay in the chat. But I'll put her information there. So again, if you have questions, you're looking to purchase, you need to get pre-approved or start this process, I'm bringing resources, bringing basically viable and vetted people that can help you throughout this process. So I just like to stress that and make that known, because you all know I don't bring just anybody to the Money Mastery Academy. So with that being said, we're going to get down and dirty and get into it. As always, we want to be respectful of your time. So the state of the mortgage, I put that as one of the topics because a lot of us know that interest rates are rising. And, you know, if you hear a lot of talk about it or look for different things going on, but I feel like one that scares some people off and that scares some people and that makes them decide not to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
But I want them to be more educated about it, to know that interest rates are probably going to continue to rise. Just as we go on, I mean, looking at the state of everything is rising. So it's important to know how to be strategic about it, how to work it. And that takes you learning and getting the information. So can you kind of give them an idea like, okay, yes, we are aware that interest rates are rising and they're a little bit higher. What do you typically give as, I guess you could say, solutions or suggestions to your clients regarding it if they bring up high
That's a good
interest?
question. Thank you so much, Nia. So, as the interest rates are rising, we tell our clients, date the rate and buy the house. So, what we mean by that is that when you're dating someone, you're not dating forever. At some point, you're going to make a commitment. So, if you date the rate, say for instance, if our rate, FHA rate right now today, maybe at 5.875 or 5.99 or 6%. Go ahead and get into that home. And then if the payment is still a little bit too high, then we want to have the realtor to talk to the seller and have the seller pay to buy the rate down, to buy the interest rate down, to get the payment to where you want it to be. And then once you do that, you look at it like a 2-1 buy down, a 3-1 buy down. And we're just saying buy the rate down for a couple of years. And then after that, then you go into a regular conforming rate, but you can always refinance because the rates won't stay here forever. I've been in the business, like I said, for 27 years, and the rates fluctuate. They kind of go up and down, but they don't stay here forever. So get into the home that you want to get into because you got to start at some point somewhere. Don't think that right now you need to wait for the rates to drop because that's not going to be happening no time soon, at least for the next couple of years or so. So I would get into the rate, look at the payment, get the payment that you want. Based on the payment that you want, we have several options that you can utilize. Like I said, buy the interest rate down or go into an adjustable rate mortgage. And also just look at, a different term. You can go with a longer term or just keep in mind, you can put more money down to get the payment the way you want. But the goal is to get the payment the way you want. So date the rate and buy the house. Okay, Neil, you're on mute. I'm sorry.
Let's just say, I said another thing to think about is, let's just say hypothetically they're right and the rates are going to go down. Once those rates go down, the prices of houses is going to go up.
That's
So
correct.
the reality is it's always a constant battle, because think about it. If the interest rates are lower, that's going to encourage more people to get into the market and purchase, which is
Mm-hmm.
going to make the house prices now go up because the demand has risen. So being that we live in America
Supply
and
and demand. Mm-hmm.
correct the way that things work here, so you have to think about that also. So yes, you want to be strategic with what you have presented to you and be, just like she said, be very confident that you'll be able to afford the mortgage that you're paying. Like, that's what's important. Of course, in the long run, you want to be able to make an advantageous purchase for you, but you utilize what different things you have. So that's a conversation you would have with your loan officer to see what options, when you can refinance and all those things.
And so let me elaborate a little bit on that. So when I'm sitting down with the client and we getting pre-approved and we're going through that process, my first question is, what payment are you comfortable with when you buy a home? So if they tell me they're comfortable with this payment, even though you can afford to buy a home for 400,000, I'm going to give you approval for that 200,000 because it's going to be within that payment amount that you said that you were comfortable with. So you're not going to be closing with a payment that you're not comfortable with, even with the higher interest rates that are out there right now. And so then when the rates do drop and you refinance, your mortgage payment is going to be even lower.
But you locked in that cost of that house.
But you locked in the cost of that house. And it's a house that you're comfortable with in terms of the payment.
Yeah, so that's what's important. And so I just really wanted to put that. That's why I made this call the state of the mortgage. And I wanted to kind of address that first because I feel like that's a lot of people's, I guess you could say, apprehensions right now about purchasing. But unfortunately, the reality of it is where we live, everything is going to consistently increase. So
Yes.
partially is not really any way around it. We just have to take the cards that we are dealt and be strategic with them.
Yeah. I tell people, hey, keep your eyes on the gas prices. When the gas price rises, the mortgage rates rising.
And like I always tell people, work to eliminate debt. If you're eliminating debt and getting that debt off, like it got your paycheck in the chokehold, the more of that debt you get released, that's going to free up more money you have per month, which means you'll be more comfortable paying that mortgage payment. So basically, you want to take a good look at your situation, get your budget set, and see what you can do because you might be able to pay things off, increase the amount of money that you actually can keep out of your paycheck, and be able to afford the house that you want. So
Yes.
I always tell people that, like, you just be mindful. Don't automatically say or think that it's a no because it's something that you don't understand or you're not that familiar with. Ask questions. Like, I bring hella qualified experts to the Money Mastery Academy for that reason exactly. So, say somebody wants to get prepared for home ownership and they're looking to start the process. What are some things you would suggest they do?
The first thing I would suggest they do is one is take a look at their credit, make certain that their credit score is where it needs to be. If there is some things on your credit that you need to take care of, then you want to do that in the beginning. If there is some debt on your credit report that you know that you need to eliminate, or there's some things you can pay off, I would do that in the beginning as well. We do go down to a 580 credit score, but of course, the better the credit score, the smoother the process is for you. So I would start taking a look at the credit, and then I would start saving money. You need to have some money in the bank, one to be able to show for your down payment, your closing costs, and then 1 month reserve at least. So you want to look at your credit and your income, I mean your assets, and then of course the income. Make certain that you've been on your job for the last 2 years consistently and that you're able to, and we can verify that you've been on the job. Even if you're self-employed, make certain that you've been self-employed, you can verify that also for the last 2 years. But yeah, I would definitely get started with the credit and saving money.
So when I'm thinking about I'm preparing for home ownership, how can I determine how much I should save for like my down payment, closing costs? Like, is it some type of way that I can say, okay, well, I know I want my house to be around this much, I should save this much money.
So this is how the loan officer calculate your max mortgage. We calculate our safe number is 45% of your monthly income. Your monthly income before bill, so it's 45%. And then we're going to subtract out your monthly payments of your debt. And then we take that figure and we calculate it by the current market interest rate and we calculate your max mortgage amount. So depending on your max mortgage amount, and you can always call me and I can go over there with you and I can give you that formula. But whatever your max mortgage amount, then you need to save basically 6% of that max mortgage amount, that purchase price. So if you're looking at a house for 200,000, you need to save 6% of that.
See, there you go. So that gives you a nice figure that okay, this is how much my house will cost. This is how much I need to save, so that when you're getting in this process, you're actually saving the right amount. You know what I mean?
Yep,
I feel like
absolutely.
that's a question that I see all the time, so that's why I wanted to make sure I asked it.
Yes.
So you do loans, you've been doing loans for a long time, and I noticed you mentioned something about investing. So what's the difference when it comes to loans for like residential properties, or like if I want to be an investor and I'm buying an investment property, like what would be the difference?
So there is the difference is the down payment amount and then also the position of the mortgage. So there's several ways that you can be an investor. If you're a investor doing conforming, and what I mean by conforming is backed up by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, you are required to put 20% down, but we have to verify your income for the last 2 years. And we also have to verify that you are able to afford the new property that you're buying as investment and also the current home that you're living in. And you're getting the market rate with conforming. So our other program that I'm doing really well is most of the time is geared towards our self-employed borrower or our borrowers who want to close in a business name. They're required to put anywhere between 20 and 25% down. They don't need any tax returns or any income document. But we do look at to find out if they're experienced a lot. What we mean by being experienced, meaning that you have owned a home and property for the last 3 years. So you have shown that you know exactly how to handle a mortgage. And so the down payment is higher, the interest rate is higher, but it's not backed up by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And we call those non-QM. These are our private investors that are loaning this money. We can also include rehab money along with this. And we look at the after repair value. It's a great product. You're required to have the 20% down plus your closing costs.
So that's real good information. So like just to break it down, y'all, a lot of times we consider like what we want to do with real estate. Me personally, I'm team get your investment property before your personal property. Which that's what I do. But I feel like if you get a personal property, it just depends on what your goal is. So like let's just for instance, like me, my goal is for me to retire earlier. That's why my goal is to get my investment property first, because I want money to be being made to help me pay my monthly expenses so that I don't need a job to pay them eventually. But if somebody is looking to, maybe you need a family for your, you need a house for your family. Maybe you need a house for your family or different things. You have to sit down and decide. But that's why we letting you know that you got all these options. So if it's something that you're thinking about or you want to buy a home and you're trying, all you got to do now is just take action. Find out the information, get, look up, research. I'm providing the regular, the people rather you have the access to the information. So I just want you to use it. I feel like I see a lot of people with questions and I see a lot of people say things and they're like, well, I don't know. And I can't buy a house and I can't. And it's like, yes, you can. If
Let
you
me
want
elaborate when you said buy your first property as an investment, which is a really good thing to state. So with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, you can buy an investment property, like Nia's saying, with 3.5% down. But you're going to need to live in one of the units. And what I mean by that, your investment property, you can buy up to 4 units.
Mm-hmm.
You reside in one, you rent out the other 3, and renting out the other 3, your tenants is paying the mortgage payment for you, and you're living in one of the other units. So in actuality, you have an investment and you live in an investment, but you got in with 3.5% down. And in some cases, you can get in with no money down. And that's a great way to get started. And then maybe a year or two, you decide you don't want to live in this apartment anymore. Then you move out and then you buy another property, because now those tenants are going to pay for the whole building, and they can probably even pay some of that mortgage towards your mortgage payment. Absolutely.
Right. So let me explain like why that's so clutch. So she just said, okay, you can put like, I got to bust the calculator out on this. You can put 3.5% down on an investment property. So let's just say we're talking about a $400,000 property.
Yeah. I got my calculator too. 400,000, 3.5% down.
Okay, right. And you're looking to make this an investment property and you live in one of the units. Okay, if you put 3.5% down, that's $14,000 to get you a 3-unit property that you can stay in, and you only have to stay in it for a year. Like I know she said it, but I got to say it again.
Say it again. And you can use the grant money, so you don't even have to put the $14,000 out of your own pocket.
You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons that I chose to do that. And I'm actually probably going to try. And then you can keep doing it. So you can do it and repeat, because after a year, you can move. You can move after that year. So at that point, now you can go do it again if you want to. So it's all based on how you want to structure your finances. Like what goals are you trying to accomplish?
Yep.
Me personally, I'm trying to build a real estate portfolio. So I'm trying to be strategic about how I make different moves and with everything that's going on. So I'm trying to bring y'all all the education and information that I have. So next, I think I wanted to talk about oh, building wealth. So Arlene had an event. Um, when was that event? I feel like that was a long time ago, but it wasn't even that long. It was still
You're
this month.
talking about in November when we had it at Cooper's Hawk?
No, when you had the building wealth through
Oh, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. It was
okay, 2 weeks
phenomenal.
ago.
Yes.
2 weeks ago, she had an event, and the name of the event was Building Wealth Through Real Estate Investing. And she brought like a lot of different lenders, and they kind of educated you on all the different options and products and services and everything they had. And if you ever have thought about real estate investing, it was a great place to be in the room. So, can you like elaborate on some ways that you can use real estate to build wealth and things that you could do? And I'll share some too, but share some ways that you can use real estate. Like I think that sometimes people just think of real estate and they think like, oh, it just let me get my home and I'll move in my home. But it's so many things that you can do with real estate that doesn't necessarily only have to be your home.
Right, right. It really is. You could, like we said, you could do a fix and flip. You could do a rehab loan. You could do a short-term rental where you could utilize a property for Airbnb, or like we explained earlier, you could use it for a long-term loan where you could use the property and rent it out, and use a potential rental income, to show for your income. So and then there's so many just different ways you can buy property. You can buy it and you could just do little to no work to it, and like you said, and after the repair value, fix it. You can get approved for our real estate line of credit, where we pre-approve you for a certain amount, 500,000, a million, 10 million. You utilize that to buy properties only. You only have to get paid. You only have to get approved once per year, but you can continue to buy property, fix it, flip it, continue to buy it, put a little work into it, fix it, flip it, fix it, hold it, however you want to do it. It's ongoing, continuous building. Once you get started, you're not going to want to stop because you're going to see all the benefits in it.
So let me tell you one of the strategies, because I know a lot of personal finance creators. And of course, we had these conversations and everybody talks about things that they're doing. I know somebody, every child she has, she buys a building for them. When they get older and they get 18, if they decide to go to college, she's simply going to sell that property and they're right there. Their whole college education is funded.
Yeah.
So she has, as she continues to have children, well, not continue because she's done now, but she has 4 children. So each child has a property. So, and her children are young, like her youngest daughter's like 5.
Wow,
So,
nice.
yeah. So by the time she gets there, you know how much equity she would have built? Like she could pull out the equity or she can just sell the whole property. But either way, if her daughter wants to start a business, if her daughter wants to do anything, which that is, I heard that I did. I thought, I wish I would have did something. Of course, obviously I didn't know better at 17, but if that to me was a brilliant idea because, well, I know with new laws, the 529, you can roll it over into an IRA, but before with the 529 account, it had to go towards college. It couldn't go anywhere else. So I thought that was a brilliant idea, but that's another way that you can use real estate to build wealth.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm actually on that same path. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, like,
yeah.
It truly makes sense because most of the kids, and especially even when the kids get older, like how my daughter is graduating from college, and now she was made a job offer. We're gonna take her job offer letter, and she's gonna buy a property, an FHA property, and buy her a little condo or something.
Go
So she's
ahead.
22 or 23 years old. Get them started early. You don't have to stay here forever. It's a little bit small condo. You're gonna be so proud of it.
Exactly. You can keep it,
Decorate like you did your dorm. Or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
it's your own. You build an equity, and then when you get older or get married or whatever, then you're gonna go and rent that out, and you're not gonna sell. We're not selling any properties anymore in my family. You're gonna rent that out, and you're gonna go buy another property.
Yeah, see, that's like to me, it's so wonderful how many ways that you can use it. So I got to ask this question too, because I know it's going to be people who want to know this. Bankruptcy, collections, like if I have a bankruptcy on my credit or whatever. If you read in my books, you know I filed bankruptcy before, and I have investment property now, so you still can purchase property after you've had a bankruptcy.
Sure can. You can
Right.
purchase property while you're in a bankruptcy, Chapter 13.
See, and then what about if I have collections? Like, how is that typically?
It depends on the collection. Medical collections, the underwriter just take a letter of explanation. And then we also kind of overlook collection anywhere up to like $2,000, $2,500. Just a good strong letter of explanation on it.
So I do have a question. They say I'm almost 2 years out of Chapter 7 bankruptcy, lost my job at the end of 2022, and I've accumulated a lot of debt. How can I go about paying off my debt to try to buy a home? Well, I mean, how long do you think it would be before I could possibly get into the right predicament to buy a home?
But
And would Chapter 13 be the better option? But you just said you almost 2 years out of Chapter 7.
yeah, you don't want to do back-to-back bankruptcy. That's going to create a
Yeah,
big problem.
yeah,
Like,
that's gonna be it.
why are we doing back-to-back bankruptcy? We don't want to do
And
back-to-back
it's so
bankruptcy.
close together.
Yeah, they're too close together. So you're going to be a high risk for the lender.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to accept that. But if you're in your Chapter 7, you can purchase right after you discharge from your Chapter 7. But your credit score does have to be where it needs to be, and you have to have paid your bills on time. So if you're still behind on your bills after the bankruptcy, then the underwriter won't approve the file either, because they're going to say that you're not being responsible. So you really do want to work on getting your credit together and just
Yeah,
kind of
because if it's been 2 years,
eliminating. Yeah.
it's been 2 years since you've been out of Chapter 7, then it's like, what have you been doing with your credit during those 2 years is probably what they was going to look at.
Right. Yeah. Because you was in the bankruptcy, so you didn't have to pay any of those. Because if you're in the Chapter 7, that means all of your debt was eliminated. So you really shouldn't have any debt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like we said, there's just so many options, ways, things that you do. And don't think because you have past financial mistakes that that's going to stop you and you don't have the ability to purchase a house. Or, I mean, it's other things. Like she said, short-term rentals. You also they have midterm rentals now where you furnish the property and then you rent it out to like nurses or students because they still don't have a lease, but they're there for a longer period of time than like if you did Airbnb or something like that. But of course, all of it depends on like what market you're purchasing the property in, location. But these are all the different things that you can consider when you're looking at purchasing. It does not only have to be, oh, I'm buying it for a house, so I can have a house. You could use it to your advantage, however you want to, because one of the things that I tell people all the time, buying a house is a way to it's one of the ways to kind of avoid inflation mildly, because if you're staying in an apartment over 30 years, how much is your rent going to increase? But if you're in a mortgage for those 30 years, your mortgage is not going to increase.
That's
Now, your
correct.
taxes, your property taxes might go up, your home insurance might go up, but your mortgage, that is going to be the term. If you have a fixed rate, that's going to be your mortgage for the full 30 years. So in the short term, you might look at it and say, oh, well, I'm saving more money by renting. But in the long term, when you look at 20, 30 years, when you're looking to retire and you're going on a fixed income, and now your rent is still increasing, even though your income is now leveled, that's when it's really going to matter. That's when it's really going to affect you, and it's going to kind of start really bringing your finances down. And the amount of money, I don't want to see what rent looks like in 30 years.
Yes. It's unbelievable.
I have a friend, they just raised her rent over $200.
This is what I tell people to do, and this is what I actually did years ago, which made me say, there's no way I'm going to give my landlord any more money. Do the math of how much you're paying for rent a month, multiply that by 12, and multiply that by the length of time you've been in that apartment.
And see how much money you've paid.
And see how much money you have actually could have had saved for down payment, closing costs, or whatever. It's ridiculous. And I know that everybody can't buy, but you think you can't buy. Like getting approved for a mortgage is even quicker and easier than buying a car these days. And if you're paying rent, you can buy a home. You really can, seriously. You might not get the elaborate home that you want in the beginning, but you're getting a start and you're building equity.
I think you just brought up a good point. So for me personally, when I first decided to purchase, I had my heart set. I want to buy. How long have I been talking about? Oh, I want to buy a multi-unit in Chicago. I want to buy a multi-unit in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
When it was first time to get my, when it was the first time I was in the market for a house, it was 2020, and the market was insane. And everybody was like snatching up every house. They were offering well over the buying power. So I had a friend and we had a conversation, and he had a come hither moment with me, and he told me like, maybe your first house is not meant to be in Chicago. Like, you might have to look somewhere else. Like, if you're not willing. So I end up buying my property in, it's not in Chicago. It's in Illinois, but it's not in Chicago. It's some hours away from Chicago. But property is doing well. Tenant, good tenant. So like I say all of that to say is sometimes you might be aiming for something, or you might have your heart or head set. I mean, and here we go again. I'm in the market again for a property, trying to buy a
Mm-hmm.
property. And again, now these taxes are so high that it's making the rents too high, that even if I have the property full, it's still not going to cover it. And I'm not trying to sign up for that. So I, as the CEO of my purchase, I make the decision to choose another area. And I would go to the suburbs of Chicago, but the suburbs of Chicago does not have as many multi units. It's not very popular. Residential, you could kill beautiful houses. The prices are decent. You know what I mean? Like in the
Mm-hmm.
outer skirts of Chicago right now, if you buying a single family home, they got some nice options still that are decent price. You know, like you say, you might not be able, you might have to put in your own granite countertops. You might have to put in your own, but that's the thing you got to think about. You can put it in. It's your house. Just
Yep.
because it's not there when you get there means nothing, because it's yours.
And you can take your time by decorating
Take
and
your time,
adding.
because the reality is you could do it when you first get in there. 5 years later, you're gonna want something different. Your
Yes.
mind gonna change. You're gonna be a whole different woman, a whole different person.
Yep.
And then by that time, you're gonna be like, "Ooh, I don't even like this color no more. I want to do gray." Like, you know, so it's
Yeah.
like it's nice to take that time, and it just means so much more because it's yours.
Yeah. Because actually, it's funny you said that because I was telling my daughter, I said, I've been wanting my door to be red. I wonder, do I still want it red or should I make it blue? My front door. You know how they
Mhm.
had the red doors? I'm like, do I
Yeah.
still want my door to be red or do I want to take it blue now? Should I even change it? What should I do? Should I put a new door up? Just simple things like that.
Yeah, because you change over time. So I think it's nice to be able to have that time and take that time to say, like, oh, let me work on this room. Let me work on that room. So I
Hmm.
think that, I know sometimes you want it to immediately be how you want it and be made up and set, but all things come with time and all things come by design.
Yep.
So do you have any wonderful other tips and tricks that you would love to share, that you would tell, like, what's something that you just wish your clients knew?
Asking as many questions as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Just ask questions. I mean, no question is a dumb question. Don't be afraid to step out and buy. A lot of people, there's a lot of fear for people buying. Don't let the interest
Mm-hmm.
rate scare you. The market is what it is. The inflation. We've gone to depression, inflation, and all of that. So just keep living and enjoying yourself. And if buying a new home is really what you want to do, then buy a home. If you want to be an investor, get started. Just get off
Okay.
the fence and just get started.
And then the last question, I asked this to the realtor on Tuesday, and she was like, "You didn't tell me you was gonna say this." Can you think of an experience with a client that you had that was like, maybe they came in and they just knew that they weren't going to be able to, and it was kind of like a wonderful story? And I'm gonna tell you, like I told her, I know you have one,
Oh,
because
I have
both of y'all.
lots of them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Because y'all been doing it so long. So even though it's kind
Yeah,
of an on the spot question, I know you all going to be able to think of a situation.
I have lots of them. I have. So I'm very personable with people, and I really like when I see your situation and I know that you really want to be a homeowner, like I put my all into it. So I help you come up with a plan. And if you don't have enough money, then I give you a schedule of what you need to do and how you can get the money. Or let's look at this situation. Or if you have a debt to income ratio problem, or if your credit score is too low, I'll tell you what you need to pay off and how long it needs to wait, or if we need to do a rescore or whatever. I mean, I had one that took over a year to get into her home, but we got her in that home, and she cried. She cried, and she actually sent me a gift. She said, "Can I have your home address?" And I normally don't give my home address out. She said, "I wanted to send you a thank you card." So I said, "Well, okay, I'll go ahead and make this exception." She sent me a beautiful purse. She said, "I would not be in this home without you." So I had to send you something. Like, I
That's
mean, that makes
nice.
my heart warm. I was just like, oh my God. Like, but it was a really tough loan. But if you just do exactly what I tell you to do, you could definitely get into a home.
Oh, okay. Well, we appreciate your time so much, so much. Thank you all for tuning in. Definitely hit that like and subscribe button. We're tuning out today for the Money Master Academy. And this is the official close of National Homebuyers Month because we've been live a lot this month.
Buy
Seriously.
that home and buy the book. Buy the book from Nia so she can help you
Oh,
buy the
yes.
home.
I do have a book. It's called Life is Short, Buy the House.
Yep. Buy the house. Buy
Yes.
the house. Thank you so much. And if I could be in for any help, please reach out to me, 630-439-4497. That's Arlene Price.
And then you want to tell them your Instagram or your email? Well, email maybe.
Email address, Arlene.price with a Y, ARLENE dot PRYCE at teamusamtg.com. And so my Instagram right now is Price Mortgage Group, but I'm going to change it to Closing Loans with Lean. Loans with
Oh,
Lean. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so her information will be in the notes. It will be down in the notes section. So you'll be able to access it. And with that, we'll see you next time.
All righty. Thank you. Talk soon.